Hi folks, I'm Chris again, and welcome back to episode number 3 of the Music Addict's Attic. This week's topic, another one near and dear to my heart, is my entry in the category of most underrated bands. I think mine is folks who are fans of this band along with me and have probably rubbed elbows at many concerts together of theirs will always contend that Little Feat, a California band formed in the early 1970s by former Mothers of Invention guitarist and vocalist Lowell George and Billy Payne, drummer Richie Hayward, and another former Mothers of Invention. Mothers of Invention were a band that supported Frank Zappa in his early recordings. Lowell George left the Mothers of Invention, depending on whose story you're listening to, because Frank Zappa saw his talent, but didn't think that his songs were something that the Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention could play. So he said, "Go out and form your own band," and Lowell did. But Estrada, Payne, Hayward, and Lowell George were the founding members of Little Feat, and the band has gone through tremendous number of changes over the decades. They still perform now after having lost a number of vital members to death and departure. Even though they're Californians, folks who get their first listens to Little Feat music, like you did, the Dixie Chicken, one of the most well-known songs in the intro, swear these guys have to come from Georgia or Mississippi or Louisiana. There's a swampy, very southern sound to a lot of bluesy, rootsy sound to a lot of what Little Feat always did. And that's why they, just like with Creedence Clearwater Revival, a lot of people swear it's got to be a southern band, but they're not. They're a California band. Lowell George, who really became the big star of that band, was their centerpiece until his death from a drug overdose in 1979 in a hotel room in Arlington, Virginia. Was the centerpiece. He was the genius, the mastermind, wrote songs that will always be performable. Died in 1979 while touring behind his one and only solo album. Biggest success wound up being the place where they really began to sell a lot of records and see lots of people at their shows was Dixie Chicken. And that band featured, find the page, this is, by the way, Little Feat Tour 1989. I've seen Little Feat 10 or 11 times, and the addition of the band that I was just mentioning is they really broke ground as far as record sales and name recognition with this album. This is the back cover of Dixie Chicken. There's Lowell George, Richie Hayward, the drummer, Billy Payne, keyboard player, Kenny Gradney, bass player, Paul Barrere, guitarist, and Sam Clayton. Gradney, Barrere, and Clayton were performing and recording with Little Feat for the first time for this album, and they really brought funkiness, that southern feel, that slinky, funky sound that melded so beautifully with the talents of Billy Payne and Richie Hayward and Lowell. And some of the songs coming off of that album, which is right here. Dixie Chicken, my favorite, On Your Way Down, Fool Yourself, Fat Man in the Bathtub are songs that Little Feat fans never be able to get enough of. Why was Little Feat underrated? Why are they not, with the massive following that they've had for a long time, why are they not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Good questions, and I wish I could answer them. One of the reasons why a lot of us feel that they're one of the most underrated bands in popular music history ever. When Lowell George died in 1979, guitarist Paul Barrere and keyboard player Billy Payne were kind of wrestling with him for control and direction of the band. So they had broken up one of a number of times that it was rumored that they broke up before Lowell's passing. Lowell put together his solo album, Thanks I'll Eat It Here, and had performed at a Washington, D.C. venue the night before. And one of his, unfortunately, favorite things was speedballs, which is a combination of cocaine and heroin. And he overdosed in a Arlington, Virginia hotel room in 1979. And there wasn't a chance. He had been speaking to journalists about getting Little Feat back together, maybe without Billy Payne and Paul Barrere, who had become his rivals for leadership of his band. He had talked about getting them back together post his solo tour, so that he could be in control of the band again. Never happened because he passed away. 2 years after his passing, which happened in June of 1979, all of the people who loved Lowell George and were really affected by his music and were close friends of his got together at the LA Forum and put together benefit shows for his daughter and wife. We obviously unexpectedly left with his overdose death. And the result of that was the Hoy Hoy album, which is kind of a compilation. The band didn't get back together again until 1987 with Billy Payne and Paul Barrere in the catbird seat, but with Kenny Gradney and Richie Hayward and Sam Clayton along for the ride. New vocalist Craig Fuller, who had been with the Pure Prairie League and his own band back in the 70s. They all knew each other. Craig Fuller took over the lead vocals, and quite a bit of excitement was created by the re-emergence of a new Little Feat. And I can remember very, very well, I had it on videotape, a performance of them playing on Saturday Night Live, the new band, and there was a tremendous amount of excitement was generated. I got to see that tour. I subsequently got to see them 10 or 11 times after. I had, in looking for full disclosure, I guess here, and a couple of uncles who were old hippies who were just wonderful, wonderful guys who turned me on to a lot of great music. And they, one Christmas morning, gave me the Dixie Chicken album, and then we went back into a back room and put it on the record player. And now listen to this. Listen to how funky. Listen to that slide guitar being played by Lowell George. And really, their passion for the music came across to me. So in the interim period between '79, when Lowell died, and when they got going again, was when I really got hot and heavy about Little Feat and really had it touch my soul, and they became my favorite band. Getting the chance to see the remaining guys in the new incarnation of the band in 1988, when the Let It Roll album came out. This is the cover. Kind of cemented, wow, this is really, really great. And the new incarnation of the band had no difficulty selling the sound and giving you a strong approximation, even though Lowell was watching from up above, a strong feeling for what this band was all about. And because you had so many original members, or you had so many members who had been in the last incarnation with Lowell, that you really got the feel and the swampiness and the soulfulness, and it was special, and struck me and hooked me for good. The members of Little Feat knew that they weren't a poppy kind of band. It's a party band, a jam band, a band that really is gut bucket, hits you in your soul, something that you really need to feel. I guess you had to have a kind of taste for blues and soul and rock and some country. Lowell's most well-known song, and the song that has to be played every single time Little Feat plays, is Willin'. a song of a truck driver uh, driving his loads across the country, sometimes taking the back roads so he wouldn't get weighed, uh, just needing weed, whites, and wine to keep him going, and he's always willing to do the necessary um, in his vocation in life. Um, the tightness, the closeness of the Little Feat audience, and the love and the passion and joy within their music, I think probably comes through most strongly in a pretty funny anecdote. I took my daughter Rachel to see Little Feat a number of times, and I took Rachel and our eldest son Jake to see them at a hockey arena here in southern New Hampshire in Salem. The Salem Ice Center only had a few concerts, and this may have been the first one they ever had. And I brought Rachel was probably 5 or 6, which would have made Caleb like 3. Excuse me, Jacob. Caleb's the baby. Jacob was probably 3 or 4, and he sat on my lap, and Rachel sat in the chair next to us and was dancing and doing her little girl hippie dance and just feeling the music and dancing to it. The end of the show, I was carrying Jake and holding Rachel's hand, and an old hippie, a guy who looked very much like Leon Russell, and a lot of people who will watch this will know what Leon Russell looked like. White beard down to here, pure white facial hair, and a top hat, came up to me, and he had tears in his eye, and he grabbed my shoulder, and he looked me in the eye, and he said, "God bless you, man." I think I think the desire to maintain what there is, what people have found in Little Feat's music, me very much included, is pretty strong in that story. I was unbelievably fortunate at one point to one of the many times that I saw them play at the Club Casino on Hampton Beach here in New Hampshire. Um, when I arrived to the parking lot, I found that their tour bus had just arrived too, and the guys were walking around the parking lot. Members of the band were walking around the parking lot, and I said, "Oh my God, this is my chance to go and meet the guys." And I went into my glove compartment and I found an old banking envelope, grabbed a pen, and had it's here, believe me, and had the guys sign the envelope because I put it down here. Had Richie Hayward, Billy Payne, Fred Tackett, who was with the band at that point, and Sam Clayton sign their autographs. And the one time, my brother Mark, my youngest brother Mark, is a really really talented drummer, and I told him one time, I'm paying for the tickets. Hampton Beach Casino. I want you to sit and just watch Richie Hayward. Richie Hayward was like an octopus on the drums. He passed away from liver cancer a number of years ago, but I said, I just want you to watch Richie. And okay, cool. You're paying for the tickets, and I know you love Little Feat, so I'll go and get my dose of Little Feat. We were outside the venue, about to go in. Richie Hayward and his drum tech went walking right past us, and I said, "Richie," and he turned around, and Mark and I went and shook hands and got with him and got the chance to talk for a couple of minutes. And so my baby brother Mark not only got to see an unbelievably talented drummer play thereafter, he got to meet the man and shake his hand. That's the kind of passion and fire and joy that was brought forth by Little Feat's music in the original incarnation, up through Lowell George's passing, and in years subsequently. The last time I got to see them, as we said, Lowell is gone, Richie Hayward, the drummer, is gone. Paul Barrere, the guitarist, who subsequently wound up singing a lot of Lowell songs and took the mantle along with Billy Payne over for the band before Lowell died, and then subsequently afterwards. Also had liver disease and wound up dying. But the last chance that I got to see them was my youngest son, Caleb, who we'll mention in the proper context now, took me to see an incarnation of the band called Funky Feet, which was Paul and bass player Kenny Gradney, drummer Gabe Ford, and Fred Tackett playing at the Flying Monkey venue up in Plymouth, northern New Hampshire. And that was the last time I got to see Little Feat. That'll probably be the last time that I ever go see Little Feat or an incarnation of Little Feat, because so much of the original flavor is gone now. Richie's strumming was so unique. Paul Barrere's slide playing and vocals and songwriting were so unique that the magic is largely gone for me because of subtractions from the band by death. That having been said, they have an incredibly rich, wonderful catalog of music that stands the test of time, that many of us could just sit and listen to Little Feat from Friday night to Sunday night on a weekend and be happy as pigs in mud. One thing I wanted to point out, really important, when you speak to the many people, unfortunately, who aren't familiar with Little Feat, they'll say, Little Feat, what a weird name for a band. It's feat, F-E-A-T, as in an accomplishment, not little feet, as in the appendage at the bottom of people's bodies. And the origin for the name Little Feat came from the fact that Lowell George had little feet. And he was given, when feeling around for band names, that was the one that was stuck on because of Lowell George's little feet, and it stuck. And thank God it did, because this is a truly special band. If you are not familiar with Little Feat, boy, Waiting for Columbus is an exceptional live album. Dixie Chicken is a great album. If I were telling someone to get their indoctrination to a band, just because some guy said it was good, place it on me, and that they might like it. Dixie Chicken would probably be my place to start. It was the place that I started, thanks to Uncles Richie and Paul. Great music, a lot of depth, incredible grooves. And one of the reasons why I feel that Little Feat is one of, if not the single most underrated rock and roll band of the 20th century, and they deserve all the accolades and the praise and the record sales that they get. I'm sure, I'm positive, without any question, that you folks out there have bands that you feel, or groups or performers who you feel have not gotten their proper due. There are folks who believe that the Moody Blues are one of those. There are some who feel that Rush has never gotten their proper due. Not the massive record sales of a Led Zeppelin or someone like that, but many, many, many reasons to value the music they put out, the talents that they showed, and the continuing joy that they give to music lovers. And so why don't you go ahead, if you feel the fire, if you feel the interest, to let us know who some bands are that you feel never got their proper due but deserve more than other bands that had, or as much as other bands that had the record sales and the ticket sales, etc. And this interplay that we're having on music is proving very special to me and a lot of fun, and I hope you're finding it the same way. And until episode number 4, which I think I'm toying with the idea of doing guilty pleasures, groups that you wouldn't necessarily name in a conversation about music, but when you get home, you'll put on their music, even though, like the Bee Gees or someone like that, the respect quotient isn't going to be huge from a rock and roll standpoint. Still very enjoyable, and someone that you listen to in the quiet time around your house. So until episode number 4, I hope you've enjoyed episode number 3. We wish you health, happiness, and good music.